Welcome again to Tibalt's Apprentice COVID Diaries. I guess that's what I'm calling them now. Yeah, this was going to be an easy film. It was going to just go smooth as silk. It was. I mean, if you watch this channel for any length of time, you know that one of my favorite decks is my Wort the Raidmother deck. So I figured, doing a COVID update on it. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be, well, it was kind of a surprise to me when I looked at the deck and decided this deck kind of sucks. It wins consistently, if not continually. I know when I set down, I have a far better than average chance of winning with the deck than I do with most of my other decks. But being honest, looking at the improvements that I've made playing over the last couple of years, and hopefully you have too, I took a sharp, hard look at it, and the deck's kind of bad. So I'll try to get a deck list up so you can see what it currently looks like. But anyhow, that's not how this was supposed to go. This was going to be an easy video to do, and it's going to talk about those magic numbers that, well, actually, the magic numbers came later. Let's back up just a second. Let's just get into what I initially wrote. To do that, of course, I'll need my glasses. So, my introduction was going to be, this is going to be an easy deck tech, because in the past, we've concentrated on three things: getting ahead of the curve, setting up the end game, and the surprise win. Those were the three factors that the decks that I was going to look at were going to have. This deck just wins with fireballs. That's it. Big, splashy fireballs taking out 2 and 3 players at a time. And that's how it wins. It's a 6-mana commander, which can be a lot to get out, but with 20 cards that do mana ramp or give some kind of value towards that, you get your commander out a lot of times by turn 3 or 4. Seems crazy, I know. But even with that, one of the other drawbacks that this deck has is it's even more of a glass cannon than David and the guys at Budget MTG intended. And well, that's my fault. This is another deck that I picked up, deck list that I initially followed from Budget MTG decks. I think I've said this before. I always say it. If you're going to buy cards, buy them from your local game store. If you can't, use the affiliate link below. But if you do buy cards, if you do find a deck and you want to get everything that you need, don't do it late at night. Yeah. That's what happened to me, because this is more of a glass cannon, because when I looked at it and decided that, well, I came across the lands, the artifacts, each one of the things. I saw tokens on there, and I decided, I don't need token cards. I've got a ton of token cards. I'll just put my own in later. I'm sure I have them. I'm not even going to worry about it. When the deck arrived about a week later from wherever I bought it from, it was short cards. And being later in the day when I was actually awake, I looked at the cards, realizing that those were token generators, not token cards. So anyhow, like I said, don't shop late at night for cards, or maybe make a list, put it aside, and double check it in the morning. Anyhow, so this became much more of a glass cannon than it should have been. This deck should have gone wide with creatures, a ton of creatures, or a ton of big fireballs. I concentrated solely on the fireballs. So I talked about the fact that this game requires lots of mana and can produce lots of mana. And I mentioned earlier on that there were magic numbers. Let me first start off by saying that when I looked at the deck, I realized there were a lot of cards that were left over from the token generation aspect of it, and those could probably be replaced. So I'm looking forward to you in the comments below letting me know which ones of those should be gotten rid of, and other suggestions for things that should go in there. As you're playing this deck, if you've played Magic enough, you know that the math is for blockers. Not so in this case. In this case, you are going to need to be doing math the entire time, planning things out. Yeah, so that was what I had prepared ahead of time. And then I took a long, hard look at the deck and realized, this isn't good. But it's fun. It's fun, and it works. Why is that? It dirtles around for the first couple of turns, and then it explodes. That's what happens. Doing a little bit of math, you're looking at the progression for this deck. And I'm calling them turns, but really what I'm talking about is resources. Looking at lands sort of as turns, resources are available to you is really what it is. But we'll call them turns for this sake. And the way this deck plays out, generally, your turns go from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10. As you know, most games are won or lost right about turn 10 rather. So Wort the Raidmother has the advantage of Conspire, and that's when you can tap 2 creatures of the same color as the spell you're casting and you can double it. It's helpful, but not essential, because by the time you've got 5 lands on the board, you've got options. You've got options like nobody else does. For example, there's a few cards that will let you draw more mana. You're going to say, duh, when I say this, but a Reverberate is absolutely going to help by doubling those spells yet again. But even if you don't have that, one of the ways that you get ahead on mana is Animus the Waking, Hunting Wilds, Circuitous Route, Nissa's Triumph, Early Harvest, and Bonds of Flourishing. Now you'll notice of those cards, several of them cost only 3, leaving you another 2 to reverberate, or leaving you the option to conspire if you have those creatures on the board that let you double those triggers so that you have even more mana available. And that's really where this deck excels with its explosive power. How do you get more resources? Return of the Wildspeaker, Primal Command. Also, we have the ability to set our opponents back. Early in the game, casting a Volcanic Offering sets 2 other players back significantly. Chaos Warp is just fun early game, and the other shenanigans that I like, though I have yet to pull it off, is Giant Opportunity. Played with a second trigger, you can get the food that you need to cast the Giant. If you have anything else that gives you food before then, well, then it's just gravy. You get multiple Giants at that point. Getting more creatures on board is one of the other things that this deck was initially intended to do. Cards that I still have to allow you to do that would be like Hordling Outburst. Again, 3 1/1 goblins, doubled to make 6. Great. Once you have those extra creatures on board, things like Battle Hem and Harvest Season are the other ones that push you up over the top. So really, that's why a janky deck like this can still win consistently, because we move at a speed and have more options than other players at the table. If I've overlooked anything, or if you see the deck list and think that it can be improved, which I know that it can, be sure to leave those links or leave those comments down below. And thanks for watching.